Cool. So, good morning, everyone. We are Team 4, and our partner was Habitat for Humanity International. Our project focused on expanding HFHI's carbon footprint mapping and mitigation program. So our team comprised of myself, Megan Good, Andrew Timmons, Jesse Vega-Perkins, Leah Delaney, and Marissa Zalep. Our client liaisons for HFHI are Molly Berg and Tom Phillips, and we had Andrew Hoffman and Bo Miller as our advisor and consultant, respectively. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, just as a bit of context, Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit organization that builds affordable housing whose vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. And as for the organizational structure, Habitat works in 7 different countries throughout the world and has 1,100 affiliates within the U.S., working in all 50 states, including both D.C. and Puerto Rico. And each affiliate is its own independent 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Yeah, so what's the key challenge that Habitat's facing that is related to this project? So just to provide a little bit of context, the building industry currently accounts for 39% of global carbon emissions, and Habitat recently released a climate position statement reaffirming their commitment to climate resilience, equity, and mitigating their impact on climate change. So they really, through this project, kind of want to understand the carbon footprint of their construction projects and identify hotspots as well as solutions for reducing their carbon footprint. But of course, that doesn't come without challenges, including funding, as well as a diverse array of affiliates, particularly just within the US, not to mention around the world. And then finally, just kind of having a lack of a framework and place to start. So this year, Habitat launched their carbon footprint mapping and mitigation program. So this was the pilot year in 2021, and they started out with several affiliates here in Michigan. And really the focus so far this year has been on understanding just the baseline. So doing a life cycle assessment of a build, as well as collecting information about the construction process for the several different affiliates that they've been working with this year. And we just want to emphasize that this program is particularly focused on, as you can see in the diagram, the first 2 phases of the construction process. So they're really focused on the materials production and construction phases. And this is because generally Habitat has been really focused on the use phase in the past. All of their builds are supposed to be built to a minimum of Energy Star standards. So they've already kind of been focusing on the energy efficiency portion and really wanted to take it a step further and look at, reducing carbon emissions in materials as well as in their actual construction process, which are 2 phases that they actually have a lot of control over.
Thanks, Jesse. So within this and with this framework, we developed a set of goals for our scope of work for this year. The first was situating this carbon footprint mapping and mitigation project within the greater building network and understanding of the green building industry. The other was understanding the opportunities and barriers to implementing this plan and this project and this mapping, both within Habitat and the pilot field, and then potentially scaling it moving forward. In this context, we developed 3 deliverables that we wanted to achieve within this year. The first was a green building standards guide, so an understanding of what exists already. Also, we wanted to do a research and recommendations for the future of the mapping and mitigation project itself. And then we also wanted to interview stakeholders and provide those results to our clients at Habitat. So we divided this into 3 phases. The first was data collection, and that was based around understanding the green building standards through a robust literature review. We also did employee interviews, and we tried to interview a diverse group of employees across the state of Michigan, as well as at Habitat for Humanity International. The second phase was synthesis. And so this was first interview transcription as well as an inductive analysis of the interviews so that we could identify emerging themes and use it for our final results, which brings us to phase 3, which was our recommendations. And so through iterative feedback with our client as well as in team work sessions, we were able to develop a list of recommendations for the future of the project, as well as feedback on the pilot year and how we think it might incorporate into their larger mission. So a little bit more about the actual research that we did. The first, as I mentioned, was the green building standards. And so we did research on a wide variety of existing standards, some that you've probably heard of, LEED, some that were lesser known. So the Zero Energy Project and varying levels and geography that they apply to. What we found is that very few really explicitly mention carbon emissions and how it impacts the construction phase specifically. So this is a barrier to Habitat as they start to tackle this mapping and mitigation project at their sites, but also presents an opportunity for them to really have an impact in this field moving forward. The next piece of our research was our interviews that we conducted. So we conducted 10 interviews, both with local affiliates across Michigan, and then also with Habitat International employees. And so 5 main themes emerged from these interviews, and I'll give a brief overview now. The first was internal operations, and so what we found was that local affiliates at the build sites were really receptive to the guidance from Habitat International and actually wanted more in regards to sustainability. But we found that there was an opportunity for more sharing from affiliate to affiliate sites, and that a lot wanted to really leverage the experience differences that each had. The second was external interactions. And so we found that a real facilitator to sustainability at the local level was the partnerships that Habitat for Humanity International had set up with either green organizations, Gifts in Kind, et cetera. We had a vast affiliate diversity that we found. We felt this could be leveraged. Carbon mitigation, people were interested in, but didn't know much about and wanted to learn more. And as expected, finances, cost was a barrier, and we think it could be overcome with financial incentives.
Thanks, Leah. So for sake of time, we'll run through the recommendations rather quickly. So as we mentioned, we did a bunch of interviews and a bunch of research, and we synthesized that information into 7 key recommendations. So 1, support affiliate interaction and knowledge share. With a really wide diversity of different affiliates, we wanted them to be able to leverage what they know, how they've been accomplishing things in order to help one another out. Next was provide dynamic incentives. Again, due to the vast diversity of the affiliates themselves, we believe that having a dynamic incentive structure that's not necessarily focused on financial will be very helpful in making everyone feel rather equal in this opportunity. Third, analyze the viability of bulk purchase agreements. Since there are homes being built across the country, we think that they can leverage this wide network and buy things in bulk in order to save costs. Okay. So 4 is understand, advocate, and support local conditions. This really comes down to almost lobbying, right? So again, with the diverse cities that they're working in, where it comes with different floor plans, different materials used, and this is due to different regulation. So by establishing a regulatory team that really focuses on understanding the regulatory and moving forward with lobbying, this can help kind of alleviate some of those differences. 5 is establish a new fellowship for low carbon design, much like how we're doing this fellowship now. We think by partnering with architectural and design students and actually work on finding the most optimized sustainable home plan will be really helpful for them. 6, provide affiliate input on organization-wide incentives. This is just really listening to the affiliates and taking that information internally as they develop different processes. And 7, build on existing waste management and strategies. So this is just really focusing on the waste produced in each of these builds in order to leverage a reduction in carbon.
Thank you, Marissa. So this really brings us to a question of impact. So with these recommendations and working with our client, we expect 3 major aspects of that impact. The first is a direct incorporation of the affiliate feedback to improve just capturing the affiliate diversity to better understand their operational capacities and tailoring the program to work with those features of the affiliates. The second is the direct or a more robust pipeline of information. So this is partly between the HFHI and the affiliates, but also between affiliates and also between HFHI and partner organizations. And finally, a leveraging of strategies that have proven successful at the affiliate scale, and really broadcasting those out through sharing mechanisms so that more affiliates can leverage them. Oh, goodness. That switched forward. My apologies.
Yeah, there's a little technical issue.
Oh,
we have
okay.
the next steps, but it looks like we're out of time, so we'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay. Thank you all so much.
Questions for the team?
Looks like you're missing a couple of slides.
Yeah. I'll make it a question. What are the next steps? And and also, what do you see if there were another team next year? What would you prioritize their work being? Thanks.
Absolutely. So one first next step is really going back to the affiliate interviews. Everything we came, all the recommendations we arrived at, really pulling on the opportunities and the barriers which the affiliates highlighted. So stepping back, making sure that they're incorporating those affiliate perspectives. The second one is a focus on the quantitative data. So in our project, we ultimately focus on the qualitative side, pulling the affiliates' perspective through these interviews. But there's also a heavy quantitative aspect through a life cycle analysis that Habitat has been running in order to better understand what are the carbon emissions impacts of these specific materials. So really diving into those quantitative aspects. And then finally, what we really recommended was taking a look at these recommendations and seeing where can a next team really leverage their experience to help push these recommendations forward.
Okay, there we go. You're looking at design and construction, and that makes sense to me. You're not looking at use or disposal, and that makes sense to me as well. But the huge opportunity, I mean, what excited me about this project was Habitat, their reach, their focus, and the idea that you can actually do green construction for affordable housing is kind of like a man bites dog story. So can you talk a bit about the value of not just doing this, but communicating it to their clients and to the broader space of what's possible in green construction?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that came up through the interviews was really this, sometimes a frustration that Habitat has been leading in so many ways. Some of the affiliates have been working on projects since 2008 and really pushing some of these initiatives of trying to improve efficiency and really getting to a point where, so there are these metrics called HERS scores of, they're talking about reducing or increasing efficiency. But sometimes there's a difficulty in communicating, and broader partners don't understand all the work that has gone in. So much of this work is really looking at, let's really make sure that both different affiliates understand and external partners understand. So that works out to making more affiliates better prepared to use some of these tools to drive down carbon emissions and increase efficiency. But also make sure that funding partners understand what strengths Habitat really brings to the table, so that they understand that Habitat is a partner that they can really work with to drive these initiatives. All right, and I'll just pause quickly. The slide should have come up, but it didn't. But I just want to acknowledge all the incredible support from the Dow Foundation in supporting the Dow Sustainability Fellows Program and our team, and the incredible support of our advisors, Andy Hoffman and Bo Miller, and our clients, Molly Berg and Tom Phillips. We've all been thrilled to be a part of this program and to work with such a dedicated team focused on making housing more affordable for all. Thank you very much.